Here's a thought. I was reading this week about the wars of the 20th century, the big wars, the First World War and the Second World War. And it struck me for the first time that World War One was 5 years and World War Two was 5 years. And I never thought about this before. And then I remembered that I was reading documents by different World Economic Forums and the World Health Organization. And they all said, we expect this pandemic to last for 5 years.
War.
Yeah, and that's what clicked in my head, because I'm always looking for patterns, things that repeat again and again and again, because that gives it's science. Repetition is science. When you can do the same thing again and again, when you do an experiment and you get the same results again and again and again, it's a scientific system. So I'm always looking for patterns or clues or keys to things. And then I thought about economics, and I was thinking, yeah, it takes about 5 years to change the economic structure completely, to break it down and then rebuild it. And how we have these major conflicts when we have major developments of technology, because there's always different groups that are competing with each other to be the best or to have control. And we are, once again, at this point in time in history, at a period of great technological development. And once again, there is, and this happened with all of the stages of the Industrial Revolution, going back, 200 years. Every time there was technological progress, people used it to try to control other people. Everything from machines and farming to guns and planes. It was all used to try to control people. And we have to understand the miniaturization of the technology, where once upon a time it was big and we could see it, and we built airships and warships and tanks, and they were big. Well, now that technology can fit inside a tiny, tiny little speck of dust, a tiny, tiny little microchip, and be used in a way that nobody can see it with nanotechnology. And so where we could once see the danger and see the enemy, now it's much more difficult, because the technology has advanced, and the technology that we're using is old technology. So, the technology that we're using was developed 20, 30 years ago, but it takes time to introduce people to the idea and then manufacture it and market it and sell it, and eventually for the public to buy it, because we're kind of we follow the trends and we're fashionable and we're stupid and we say, oh, that's new, that's new, that's new. I like that, and we want everything that's new. And I don't think people are fully aware that what we once did with armies, we can now do with the pharmaceutical industry and medicine. And this is the world that we're living in. It's a planet of experimentation. And right now there's very little control of the experimentation. People are just going wild and going crazy and doing whatever they want. And at the moment there's just one direction for everything. And whether that is good or bad is very difficult to tell. I have a feeling in my stomach that it's not good because people are not really given a choice. They're told you must do this. If you want to live, if you want to work, if you want to pay your bills, if you want to survive, then you must do this. But it's also a little bit under it's also a play with human psychology, because at the end of the day, everybody chooses to do what they want to do, and they live with the consequence. That means that some people have happy, successful lives doing whatever they want, and other people end up in prison, and sometimes it's fair and right, sometimes it's not, and it's the world that we live in. It's almost always been that way. But it's an even bigger crossroads now, where we all know that sometimes things get worse before they get better. The question is, how bad do we want it to be? How bad do we want it to get? Because as many people have said over the last year, sometimes it's better just to let things be. Just let it be. Right? Just let it go and see what happens, and whatever will be whatever. Some of the major vaccine manufacturers have admitted in the last week that the vaccine is not more effective than natural immunity. Yeah, it's not more effective than natural immunity. And and then we have a dilemma. And I think at the end of the day, what I think it really comes down to is money. It comes down to money. It comes down to who is making how much and where, and how much more can they make, because nothing is free, right? And illusion is a great industry. And to understand this, just look at Hollywood and films. They're not real, but they're very popular. Like a lot of stories in the newspaper, they're not real, but they're very popular. Like a lot of books, it's not real, but it's very popular. And we sort of live in that kind of culture right now, where people are making money from something which might or might not be real, and they're very I don't know if they're happy with the status quo of the situation, but there's a lot of people making a lot of money right now. It's
Mhm.
the same. The same as 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There's a lot of people doing a lot of business, making a lot of money, and they're very happy with the way things are because they have a lifestyle that they want to lead. It also feeds into the human ego because if they can have something and other people can't, then makes them feel special, makes them feel better, makes them feel different. And if they can travel and other people can't, oh, they feel special. Yeah. And we're very much in that culture right now where certain groups of people are feeling special because of what they're doing, and also certain groups are promoted to look good and look special. And I also think, to be honest, it's a lot of what I call virtue signaling, which is the people are not being honest. They're just doing what everyone else is doing to be like everyone else and to be cool. Like the fashion and trends have shown over the 20th century that you can make anything fashionable. You crazy big hats or uh, certain kinds of dresses or clothes or um, different types of I don't know clothing for sports or swimming or culturally, wearing a certain T-shirt might be fashionable, or doing something to your car, or having a house in a certain location, or what, and anything can be made popular if it appears everywhere. And and we're just well trained. We're very well trained animals. No, that's it. We're very well trained. Uh, we we go to work. We follow the rules. We buy the products. We watch the films that are not real, and then we talk about the films that are not real. And we talk, and you can use that for a bigger discussion, but most people don't. And as a this is the result of the consumer society, is that we are extremely comfortable, and we stop, we're hesitant, we're reluctant to give up those those elements of comfort because people don't like pressure. Yeah, they don't like uh, they don't like questions. They don't like to have to think too much. It's better to have fun than it is to um, than it is to philosophize about the right way to do things. There's nothing wrong with fun, but
Of course.
we need a little bit of philosophy and more morality as well. This idea that I always come back to this idea that everything is okay. It's a very bad road to go down, because
Yeah.
if you look at
Yeah.
all the big cultures and civilizations of history, the Egyptians, the Romans, the Aztecs, um, they all they were huge, massive, powerful, and yet they disappeared. They disappeared. Now why did that happen? How did that happen? Well, we're living in that now. We're watching the disintegration or the erasure of culture, where there's, if people can't meet
Mm-hmm.
then they can't create. And not just create, but procreate as as well.
But now people don't meet, can't meet.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Can they? You know, which rules do you want to follow? Whose rules do you want to follow? Um, which risks do you want to take? What is safe and what is not safe? I mean, these are you know what is practical and not practical. What is you know it's sitting on the beach can get you arrested, but shopping in Walmart is okay. Or some big supermarket. Yeah. Yep. And that it's just it's a simple question of you know what is really practical and then and logical and you know yeah. I know I was thinking about that because I saw a picture of a I don't know where I don't know which country this was from. My brain tells me maybe Australia. There was a picture of a man on the beach meditating, and he was being arrested by 8 police officers for meditating on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he wasn't supposed to be outside on the beach. He was supposed to be somewhere else. Um, it it looks like madness. It does look like madness. Um, and as I said before, it's not it's not better now than it was 10 months ago. It's not better at all. Uh, and and it seems to me very much we're living in a turn on, turn off world where nobody knows what next. And I've spoken to quite a few people from big companies. They don't know. They don't know what's going to happen next. They don't know what to expect. Um, and and so it's not going to end anytime soon because everyone is still quite comfortable with everything. There's no protests anywhere. Or maybe there is, but we don't hear about it. I don't know. I don't. I'm not looking for any information anyway, so I don't really know what's going on in too many other places. But we definitely live in interesting times. That's why I always, put it in my, like when I write to people, I always write, well, it's interesting. Well, we we live in a world where the crazy people are normal and the normal people are crazy. That's what we live in right now. We live in upside down land. Everything is backwards or the wrong way up. Um, lots of reasons, lots of reasons for this. But it's not unexpected because just look at the world. It's not unexpected. Look around. Where were we going? Right? I mean, I've been saying this for 15, 20 years because some of us grow up following all the rules and doing everything, and everything works out okay, and that's great. Some of us grow up like me with lots of questions about everything. And I have even more questions today than I had 20 years ago. I had a lot of questions 20 years ago. But I just have even more questions now. It's it's very easy to manipulate and control people through fear.
Yes. Fear is
It's
really
powerful.
thing for manipulation.
And this is why I'm dangerous. I'm dangerous because I always challenge people to explore what is that fear. I always challenge people to explore what is your fear? What happens if you go there? What happens if you do that? What is your fear with communication? What happens if you say that thing? And a lot of the time when we when, when we when we challenge our own fear, we realize that it's not really a problem. It's all up here in
Yeah.
our head. And there's a strong argument for that's true for everybody, right? Everybody can stand on the beach and look at the sea, but do you all see the same thing in the same way? No, you don't. You see it. You see it differently. Um, so I think we're living in a culture that's trying to push everyone to be the same, and yet we know that that's not natural for us. It's not natural for us to all live the same way. Um, the result of that is tension and tension and tension and tension, and that's what we have in the world right now. Is this building of tension and tension and tension and tension and tension, and it's very much the kind of tension that appears before large international conflicts throughout history. So, because it builds up in everybody because they're frustrated because they can't do what they want to do or they need to do, really. Um, or they have to do things in a very controlled way, or they they just live in a micromanaged culture where maybe before you went to the office and you talked with people and you had coffee and you did some work, but it was also a social experience. Uh, that's gone. That that's that's gone, and so the whole, everything that was good about work for a lot of people. I mean, so some people like to be, you know, by themselves and do things alone. Some people like to be in groups, and and most people like to be part of groups. So for all of these people, it's all that culture's gone for a lot of them. It's disappeared, and they are struggling. I think society is struggling mentally and physically to cope with the when is this going to end? Oh no, not again. Oh my God, when is this going to end? Oh no, not again. And all of this waiting for other people to make all the decisions. What if other people are wrong? What if they're wrong? What if they all got it wrong? I mean, maybe they haven't. Maybe they got it right. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But um, you you only get better answers by asking better questions. And by asking questions, it's the only way. Questioning everything is the only way forward. And so it's one of the many things I've said in the last year was this is just the beginning. You've heard me say that many times. This is just the beginning. We're just getting started, right? There are many more socio-economic and political agendas that are going to happen this year. We can expect bigger economies to crash this year. because of what happened last year. It takes time. It takes time to see all the full scale damage of everything, and that will also that will happen. So it's wild. I'm just waiting for what next. What next? What's going to happen next? What's going to and I I think it's all out of control now. I think it's all just completely. I think once upon a time, maybe go back 5 or 10 years, we had some level of control in the world over things happening. I don't think we have that level of control anymore. I really don't. I think that this things are spiraling
Yeah.
quickly out of control, especially with the increased use of technology to make decisions that human beings should make. So yeah, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to find positive stories and good stories and original stories, because when everyone's pushed into the same road, everyone has the same experience, and you don't have these different stories anymore. You don't have, well, I jumped on a plane and I went to Bali and I met these people and wow, we had a wild time, and you don't, we're not living in that wild world anymore. And this this benefits some people, because they don't like the wild nature of people. They like everyone to follow the rules and do what they're told and be happy with what they've got. It's interesting.